Shade Adu. Very easy on the eye is this this lady. I'm not sure about her music, but on the eye
is good.
It's great.
No complaints whatsoever. 6 minutes after 6 on the big time. Sky Alpha HD. Welcome to it if you've just joined us. Where have you been? Check us out on social media. On Facebook, we're Sky Alpha HD. On Twitter, we're Sky Alpha _HD. And on the gram, we're Sky Alpha HD _. It's our first time doing a Sky Alpha TV segment. And what a pleasure it's been. Shout out to the fellas who have made it possible. The beat on production. We got T-Mac in the mix here. We got Matty Winkles doing what he does best. And of course, my two guests, they are Smokes and Mojo. And we are here to discuss the MPC's announcement yesterday and everything that has gone with it. All right, guys.
I'm not sure how I feel about when you call me Smokes and we're talking about such serious things.
You are always Smokes.
You know what I'm saying?
You are always you are always
like Hodzo here.
Would you like
officially representing?
Do you want to
standing in the Soto bag and calling around saying Mojo?
I could call you Daddy Smokes if you want.
So yeah, sorry, the guys are pointing. What should I do?
I don't know.
Have you ever charged the laptop?
You've done something.
Yes. What?
Oh. I could call you Daddy Smokes if you like. Would that be better?
Yeah, man. I'm
not gonna call you Daddy Smokes. I'm humoring you. Listen, let's do this. Let's talk about what some of the challenges we see, and this is now. Everything doesn't have to be coronavirus related. What are some of the challenges we see relating to the economy and the next quarter's growth going into quarter 3 and quarter 4? What do we envisage? Obviously, the major challenge will be the slowdown owing to COVID-19. But is that it?
Okay. Please, in order to answer you, could I just backtrack just a little bit?
Do what you got.
And I'm just going to throw a few numbers at you, just a little bit. We spoke about how world growth has actually gone down, but just to give people a context of where we're sitting. 2019, if you look at advanced economies and you bunch them all together, you were talking about growth of 2.9%. 2020, the expectation is minus 4.9%.
Wow.
When you talk about emerging markets, you are talking about 4.4% growth in 2019. You talk about minus 3% 2020.
Yes.
And just so that you understand where Lesotho is, we had growth sitting at roughly, it was pretty low, around about 1.2%, and we're expecting it to be minus 5.7%.
When you hear the numbers, it suddenly becomes quite daunting.
So I think one of the things that I really wanted us to understand is that even though you're seeing a minus 5 or a minus 5.7, believe you me, it is not to say we've been singled out. This is actually proof that we're part of a global economy, right?
Yeah.
I think, but at the same time, it is also when you look at your current account, and current account is pretty much where you sit down and you look on a balance of trade, imports versus exports. Are you net buying or net selling? You know, and we're net buyers.
We're net buyers, yeah.
So you find that previously, the previous expectation was for a current account deficit of 5.4%. this year, and right now it's been revised downward, minus 5.4%, sorry. It's been revised down to roughly minus 10 now.
Okay.
We're looking there and thereabouts.
Okay.
And we expected in 2020, by 2022 to carry on be minus 12.8. But please do not be alarmed by the latter parts at 2022. That's at the back of additional spending at the back of LHDA phase 2. So that's expected.
Okay.
Now, I'm just saying the fact that there's a revision that shows that you're going from minus 5.4 to, let's say, minus 10, shows that you're going to continue spending going outward, while your revenues are not necessarily going to go up by the same quantum.
Sure.
So you have created an economy which is very dependent on services from the outward coming in, right? Now, if we were to really sit down and think about what we could do and what we could do in terms of reducing that particular bill, the mainstays are pretty simple. It's things like how then do you, whether it's, what are you consuming? One is normally food. And then you look at primary inputs that you're forced to spend in.
Yeah.
And then how then can you actually divert that spending to be partly domestic? And I think that is the trick that I feel as if we're missing or we should be looking more closely at. Now, going back to what your real question was, which is what are the primary drivers going forward?
Yeah.
Right now, I think there is a great dependence, more than we'd like to believe, on the likes of LHDA Phase 2, on LHWP Phase 2. It is, by scale and size and relative to phase of project, it's at the point whereby it can help absorb a lot of the services, whether it be in construction. A lot of the domestic services and players can actually start offering services to this particular project. A lot of the other sectors, if you ask me, are on a steady decline, and it is really about keeping it moving. It's to ensure that you don't shut down, make sure that you get to the greener pastures when the situation normalizes, such that you can take advantage of that. And that is pretty much where that's my thoughts going forward.
I completely echo those sentiments. What we have that's kind of working needs to be priority to make sure that it continues working. Yeah.
That is the primary.
The key pillars of the economy, they have to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at it to make sure that it doesn't stop.
Do you think that we'll get that kind of leadership?
Yeah.
Do you have to say that?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you do
see,
have to say that.
Unlike my friend here next to me, I can't have an official position.
Yeah.
I can. Yeah, look, I like the messages that are coming out.
Okay.
I'm a big proponent of having the right people in the right places.
Okay.
They may not be the perfect people.
Yeah.
But when you look around, the language that's coming out of the new administration, and most importantly NACOSEC, because that's who we're looking at now. Everything is channeled through NACOSEC. So if you look at what other economies have been doing, their strategy, especially on the fiscal side, is how do we solve COVID and create growth?
Yes.
That is NACOSEC.
That's what they're doing.
That's what it should be.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're sitting there and saying that's what we are, fellas and ladies, but that's essentially what it should be.
Yeah.
A lot of projects have to go under NACOSEC. You see they're hiring, they're increasing capacity.
Yeah.
So there's an opportunity. Remember last time we were here, we talked about the PM has an opportunity to showcase what they can do in a very little short time.
Yeah.
I think that they're
doing that.
They're absolutely doing that.
Because they went and got the right guy firstly to lead NACOSEC. Talking to the point about getting the right guys in the right places.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. So I'm happy with that. So if you look at other nations as well, they're doing absolutely the same thing.
Yeah.
They're building funds to help this disaster that we're in. And they're calling it disaster management funds.
Do you only like the guy because he's a nerd too?
No, I like because there's a plan in place. But let's contextualize what we talk about when we say nerds. Nerds just basically means you know what you're talking about.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Okabakwata in other subjects, like with me, Kikwata in a lot of subjects.
Yeah.
But in other subjects where I'm a nerd, I'm a nerd.
Like
that's what you need.
You're alive.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what you need. You need people who are lawyers doing law.
Doing law, yeah. Absolutely.
That's
all we needed to hear from you, Smuts. Guys, it's been an absolutely amazing chat. 45 minutes flies when you're having fun. You guys have said a whole hell of a lot. I hope the right people are hearing you. I hope the world is hearing you. You guys continue to make us proud with your views. You were right at the beginning of this conversation to say that we need to do this infinitely more often than we are doing it.
Can I ask you a question?
You can ask
what
you
do
want.
you think the end game is? And I want to ask Mojo that as well.
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I think the end game must be one, to save lives right now. Mm-hmm. I think it's really important that we save lives. But we also, I think, if we miss the opportunity to rebuild our very, very precariously built healthcare system, if we miss this opportunity to rebuild it, then we will not have been kind to ourselves. So for me, the end game would be one, to save lives, two, to rebuild particularly the healthcare system, and three, to be infinitely more self-sufficient.
Yeah.
That would talk to the.
I think one is infinitely more simple. It's is just to instill a sense of self-belief such that we really start interrogating the landscape we live in, the country we live in, the challenges we face. And rather than feeling as if all solutions sit far away from you, outside your borders, sometimes it's about creating that moment to introspect, to figure out exactly where your Achilles heel is, and actually now delve down and figure out how then you address that. And without a willingness or without a narrative that drives somebody to say, okay, fine, what are the problems? How do we perceive them? What are the ideas in and around what can be done?
Yeah.
I don't think that enough of that is done within the country.
Yeah. And on my end, I completely agree with everything the both of you just said. What I would just add on to that is the general public has to get comfortable and buckle in and understand that this is going to be
A bumpy ride.
Yeah, it's gonna be
not only a bumpy ride, we're going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
Get comfortable.
Very well.
Because this is it. Adjust because this is it. So if you have people who are making policies and they're driving the agenda and NACOSEC, and if they can get comfortable with knowing this is it, then you'll start doing the right things. And so, as like Khoto put it,
you remember NACOSEC has a 6-month...
They need to change that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're going to be here. Next year, you and I will be on episode...
We'll be having this conversation.
We'll be on season 3. This is not a common cold.
Yeah.
Fine, this is not it.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah.
This is not the flu.
A bit of green phlegm and carry on with my life.
No, G. We are here. Get comfortable, buckle up, get used to doing business this way, and let's solve our problems. The moment you get into that headspace, then the ideas start flowing, and then you're doing the right thing.
Do me a favor and hit me up on our social media pages and comment if you would like these two to do a podcast together. I have been trying with everything in my being to get them to do a podcast, and I think they are finally coming around to the idea. But until they do that podcast, we're going to host them here on The Big Time again and again, and we're going to keep having these kinds of discussions. I didn't like this one because they agreed too much. I preferred the first one where they subtly kind of disagreed. It's Mojo and it's Smokes. Their parents will call them Khoto and Khabele. Thank you so much for coming through, guys. Thank you for coming for a great conversation. Again, I must send a shout out to the technical guys who have made sure that this thing has gone off without any hitch. Big up to you guys. Wherever you are listening to The Big Time on Sky Alpha HD, thank you so much for lending me your ears. Thank you so much for your continued listenership. I always appreciate it. I never take it for granted. I'm going to thank you for Bella, and I'm going to thank you for Gam Gam, who I know would have been sending you guys a shout out to. They are no longer on, but it's all good. So, yeah, that is our Woman Crush Wednesday edition of The Big Time here on Sky Alpha HD. I'm going to leave you with the Top Shelf. They're getting ready to come back with season 2 in not too long. Maddie assures me they will be back to do their thing. That's Maddie and Mappy Boy.
Make them commit to a timeline.
They actually have. I can't reveal it on here yet. But in camera they have committed to me when they'll start season 2. All right. Thank you so much for your listenership. I am The Fire, and I'm out of this BI.
Sweet.
Sweet.